Welcome, everybody. BJB Today. Fired up for your Tuesday. Loud thunderstorms last night, don't you think, AJ?
Absolutely.
Thought the house was coming down at one point. All right. Hey, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Like I said, here with AJ, and as always, our sponsor, Infusion Brewing Company. I want to thank Infusion Brewing Company for sponsoring the show. They have a great lineup of beers, including vanilla bean, German stout, my particular favorite, the dill pickle beer. And now they have their whole fall lineup of fall beers out, including their ever popular pumpkin beer. I mean, who doesn't have pumpkin flavor, right? So check them out at infusionbrewing.com. They got their tasting room hours, which is fabulous, and everything else on their website at infusionbrewing.com. All right, we're just gonna today we're gonna do a little thing called 5 Questions with AJ. Just questions about basketball, what you're excited about. We got the opening today of the women's practice, which I'll be at, and then tomorrow the opening of the men's practice. So we'll discuss more of that on Thursday. Tomorrow, by the way, got a special. We're going to kick off our series checking in with our former assistant. So tomorrow we're going to check in with head coach Steve Lutz of Oklahoma State. So that ought to be fun checking in with him. But as I said, today we're going to do 5 questions. Before we get to that, I just want to bounce this because I talked with Mike about this yesterday. The Fly Together initiative, which is going to really transform. We're going to make it basically a whole, I mean, you're going to have a whole athletic village with the number of buildings they're adding and so forth. Just your initial thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, very generous donation from the Hiders. I think that'll be awesome for the university, awesome for recruiting. You know, I was at Creighton Prep Sports Night last night, and Dana Altman and Greg McDermott were both talking about how the recruiting process has changed and how it's, you know, a lot is based on money now, but having these facilities is definitely going to help build relationships and hopefully improve recruiting down the road. So I'm excited to see it.
Wow. So Dana and Greg were together.
It was a great conversation.
Yeah. So expound a little, would you? Because I'm curious.
Yeah, Nick Baugh was the MC between them, and him and Dana Altman's relationship really showed through. They had great conversation and great stories to tell, and there wasn't a lot of like breaking news, anything that they said, but it was good to hear how things are behind the scenes and how the Creighton culture is so good. And you know, Dana talked a little bit about his decision to leave Creighton, and he doesn't say that he regrets it, but he said that he still watches like every Creighton game and still feels the losses and still feels the wins, and it was just good to hear all that.
Okay. Very nice of him to say. When you're the head coach of Oregon, it's not like a small school, okay?
I don't know. He was like bringing up the foul in the NCAA tournament when Creighton was in the Elite Eight.
Well, okay, but there's only one game going on at that time. Okay, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and his season's over. Okay, you know, I don't think he's probably checking out. You know,
I don't know, Tim.
Texas Southern.
Sincere.
I love Dana. I'm sure he is, but I mean, you know, he's a busy guy. Okay, and when you get a chance, I do know that he does. Like when he was here too, he said, "Oh yeah, we don't play this weekend. You're gonna watch any?" You know, somebody said, "Are you gonna watch some hoops? And don't play this weekend." And he's like, "Oh my God, yeah, it's the funnest thing of my job is, you know, I can watch hoops and, you know, stuff." But, you know, to say you're watching every Creighton game is, I think, a little much. I mean, I don't think he's like jumping on the plane after playing Purdue, going back to Eugene and going, "God, let me fire up that Creighton game." You know, like.
He said something about Nick Baugh asked him about his time here, and he made a comment like, "Let's just get this Arkansas thing out of the way now," and like addressed how he left Arkansas for a day, and it was a good conversation though.
Well, did you ever see it was at some event, and Dana was up talking, and all of a sudden in the back you hear this imitation of Dana, and it was Nick Baugh.
And he did the impressions.
Yeah.
last night. He's an impressive guy, especially with
His
his.
fam- his famous one was there's no there's no style points up there in the scoreboard, boys. It's just visitors and home.
That sounds exactly right. And
Visitors and home.
and the flag.
That's really old school. A place that has visitors and home up there.
Oh yeah.
All right. Yeah. So uh, yeah, the whole campus. I mean, the thing that blows me away is they're adding like that 86,000 square foot building on the other side of the Rasmussen Center, basically for students. I mean, that's incredible. And then I think the cool thing is, I'm sure they'll do it up right, like Creighton usually does when they do something, is that jaywalk that's going to go all the way from the athletic part all the way down into the where Keywood has their headquarters and that whole, I don't know what they call it. They call it some, every area of town's got their little name, but it's going to be, there's apartments going to be down there and shops and restaurants, bars, which there already are some, but it's going to
Right.
lead right in, almost lead all the way down into Schwab Field. So,
Yeah, I would
very,
definitely tell anybody who's listening who hasn't seen the renderings yet to go take a look at them because it looks
yeah,
really cool.
yeah, very cool. Very cool. And if you haven't, I know it's kind of a cluster down there now because all the construction with the baseball field and everything. But if you can go down there just to drive by where the new softball field is, man, does it look nice. Holy cow. It's awesome. So
What's the estimated completion for all this, Tim?
they didn't really say, but it sounds to me it sounds to me like the money's already in place. So, I was like, well, where do they? I suppose they're going to ask everybody for donations for the other 2/3, but then they said they had some other smaller donors. If like 20 million is small, but and by the way, when these kinds of things happen, if you ever wake up some morning and forget how much money is in this town,
Hmm.
it's just, I mean, just the Hyder Foundation goes, yeah, we'll give you 100 million. I'm like, oh my God, it's
We
crazy.
need it for taxes.
I mean, I always said that about, back before, NIL came about, Creighton be like, oh, we gotta get money. And I'm like, yeah, you make 5 phone calls and you have the McDermott Center built. I mean, don't talk to me about money, come on. So anyway, that's very exciting. All right, let's get to the 5 questions. All right, so
Let's.
these are all basketball related. Number one, what player are you most excited to see this year?
Yeah, with our depth and new talent coming in, that's a really tough question. There's all the storylines of like the McAndrew and Doug comparison. Owen Freeman having to come in and replace Kalkbrenner. The Fedor comeback story. I mean, it's his second year. Is he going to take a Baylor Shireman type jump this year? But through all that, I think I have to go with Josh Dix. Just from talking to Iowa fans, hearing how fun he was to watch, hearing how he can create his own shots, shooting at such a high clip. I think he's going to carry a lot of the weight on his shoulders this year, and I'm excited to see what he can do. And I think we'll rely on him for a lot of our offense. And I want him to, I want him to look like Trey Alexander his senior year or junior year last year.
Yeah.
I think he'll be able to do a lot of good things in our offense.
Yeah, that's an excellent choice. I think he certainly, yeah, and I agree with you too. It is hard. Like you think about, gosh, I want to see this guy, this guy, this guy. Um, yeah, I don't. It'd be hard for me to. I guess I'm stuck on Hudson Greer. I just want to see like how his game translates and how many minutes does he get. How obviously, and that's going to be dictated by how well he does, right? So, all right, number two. What game or games are you most excited about seeing with this year's schedule?
So for conference play, we play at St. John's on February 21st. I think St. John's could be a top 5 team. I think they could be first in the Big East. They probably will be. And we have a chance to go into Madison Square Garden right before March and play potentially a top 5 team. could be playing for a 2 or 3 seed in the Big East tournament. I think that'll be a huge game. I'm really excited to watch that one. Plus, MSG is just always fun to play in. And then for non-con, I went with Iowa State. They're a preseason top 25 team. We play them in an exhibition game before, so we could get either, we could go for 2 wins in a row or try to get some redemption if we lose the exhibition. It's right before Thanksgiving, and, if we can find a way to beat Baylor the game before, the game versus Iowa State could mean a lot, because if we go 2-0 those first 2 games in the NIL tournament, we could play a really fun third game as well. So I think that'll be a fun game to watch. And, Gonzaga was up on that list too, but I think with that being so early on in the season, there's just not a lot of expectations. True road game, Gonzaga is going to be a top 20 team. So I went with non-con Iowa State and conference at St. John's.
An equally tough question, I think. Conference, I don't know that anything jumps out at me. It's always fun to play UConn, I guess. But I would kind of like, for an early measuring stick, and it'll only be 2 games in, so there's not a lot of expectations on it, but I am kind of looking forward to that Gonzaga game. I think to kind of get a early litmus test on our team. About 2 weeks later, of course, we go to Vegas, and we're going to have plenty of opportunities with Baylor and Iowa State. So, and whoever we play in the third game,
Right.
obviously won't be Bruce Pearl's Auburn team.
Crazy.
But I think I think Gonzaga. I think it's always cool to play in the Kennel, and it's a great atmosphere. And but yeah, seeing how we match up, I'm just so curious about that Iowa State game too. After playing an exhibition game, I know you're not gonna throw your cards out in the exhibition game, but those two guys know each other so well, you might as well.
Right.
I mean, they know everything you got. But it'll be interesting to see the adjustments. Like, I'm sure there'll be adjustments, one team or the other, from that exhibition game. So that's interesting too. Okay, number 3. Which player could be the biggest surprise to everyone this year?
I'm going to go with Jason Green. I think he's looked at by everybody as a role player. And I mean, if you look at 3 of the last 4 games last year versus UConn and versus St. John's in the Big East tournament and versus Louisville in the NCAA tournament, he was playing over 30 minutes a game. He was shooting about 80% from the field. He had 19 points, 9 points, 9 points. I mean, in the UConn game, in the Louisville game, he had 8 rebounds, and versus St. John's, he had 6 rebounds and 3 steals. He really broke out of his shell towards the end of the season, and I think he could play a lot bigger role this year, which I think would surprise a lot of the fans.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans would probably, to me, when I think of Jason Green and how the fan base just loves him, and think, maybe overinflates his talent sometime. I think the only thing the fan base will think about him this year is, like, if he underperforms, Otherwise, they'll be like, well, that's Jason Green. I
I hope
guess,
he's improved on his 3-point shooting. I will say that.
yeah. My easy answer would be Hudson Group, but I'm not going to go that way because I've talked a lot about that. I'll go somewhere different. I think I'm going to go back to your original answer, and I'm going to go back to Josh Dix. I don't think like we have, because he played at Iowa. We have a fair amount of Iowa people have watched Iowa basketball, so they know somewhat about him. But I don't think they know all the little things he does for a team and for a game. So it's a tough question. I would say probably the other 1A and 1B. 1B would probably be like the center position, so it'd be Alexa and Freeman. Like, they could surprise people as well. Number 4, so concerning the schedule, What's a game where you think Creighton's going to get upset, where most fans think, yeah, we'll win that one? You know how we go down through the schedule and, so and so at home, don't. So what game? Looking at the schedule, what game do you think might be troublesome for us?
I think our very first Big East game against Xavier, December 17th at Xavier. I honestly think Xavier will have a rough year. But with it being early in conference play, the first conference game even, they have a new coach in Richard Pitino, so it's going to be different than what we're used to playing. It's always a tough place to play. They got Trey Carroll from FAU, who's going to be really good. Maybe we'll be able to get some good intel from Murray State because they play them in an exhibition game in October. But Xavier doesn't play a lot of people before us. It'll be their first big game. It's at home, first conference game. I just feel like that's a little bit of I don't want to call it trap game, but I could see that game being tough. Tough.
God, Patino was there. Forgot all about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've never been a huge Richie fan, so
The biggest thing is it's different, right? It's not who we're used to, and we've seen Sean Miller the last
oh
couple of
no,
years.
I'm not saying anything your
Yeah.
pick. I'm just thinking in my head about him. I'm like, yeah, and I do think a fair amount of fans always worry about Xavier because it's a fairly tough place to play. Although I think we've done better there than most have. I'm gonna go. Well, first I think Nebraska. If I was really gonna guess this, Nebraska is probably gonna be. But I'm gonna go Kansas State because I think that's a game most fans circle that. Yeah, we got Kansas State at home, and that might be a really really tough game, and it might be a game that the players kind of almost look by because you'll be ready to hit Big East play that
Mhm.
play that Xavier game, right? So I'm gonna go with Kansas State. That could be one where we could get upset.
If it wasn't a home game, I would agree with you, but I think we'll take care of business at home.
Yeah, but I think that's when we get our upsets. Everybody always goes down to, we'll win all the home games, but then there's always one or two where we just
Sure.
lose. You so which and then finally we had a question about the coaches, right? So which coach do you dislike more? Shaka Smart or Rick Pitino?
I love high intensity coaches. I think they're good for the game of basketball. They're fun to watch. For example, this is maybe a hot take as a Creighton fan. Dan Hurley is probably one of my favorite coaches. He's theatrical. He's fun. You don't have to like Rick Pitino, but you have to at least respect what he's done in college basketball. Shaka Smart, on the other hand, I'm not a big fan. I like Rick Pitino way more than Shaka Smart. I mean, even looking at Shaka playing defense against Baylor at Marquette, he's just kind of crazy. Not a big fan, and like his success at Marquette has been solid. He's made it to the tournament 4 years in a row, 9 seed, 2 seed, 2 seed, 7 seed, and he has 3 total wins out of that. So
Yeah,
I'm not a big Shaka Smart fan. I like Rick Pitino. I like Dan Hurley. So Shaka Smart to me wins this question.
yeah, I way dislike Richie more than Rick. But I'll say this about Rick Pitino: if you throw some of the past off the court stuff, I'll just if you disregard that, okay.
Mhm.
There's nothing to not like about Rick Pitino other than the fact that he's a really good coach and has his team prepared, and they're very tough to beat. I mean, if
Agreed.
you if you want to if you want to dislike him for that, okay. But yeah, Shaka Smart. I'm frankly a little surprised Shaka's doing as well at Marquette as he is. I thought he'd come there and just lay an egg. Um, yeah, his annoying playing defense on the sidelines, and you know, he just, he looks like he's, I don't know, he dresses like he's just came out of the closet. He's got like, that shirt underneath his short sleeve. It just looks goofy. It looks like he's just, like most coaches now, of course, Patino wears a suit, but most coaches now, you know, even with the quarter zips,
Mhm.
they have a nice quarter zip. It looks nice. It's somewhat tailored. It's somewhat color coordinated and so forth. And he just looks awful. I just like I don't know. There's a lot about him I don't like. I
The
agree with you.
baggy long shirt, long sleeve
Yeah,
shirt that he wears, yeah,
yeah,
with like the
yeah,
polo on top
yeah, yeah.
while playing defense on the other team.
Looks like
I
he's
don't know.
going out to play an outdoor game of touch football or something.
And I'll never forget when Marquette won at Creighton and he did his like jumping thing and staring at
Oh
everybody.
yeah, he goes
I
a
just think
little over the
he's
top.
acting like a child.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Look like what's his name for the Jets the other day when they returned
Mm.
that block punt and then ended up losing. So he looked like an idiot. But okay, there's our 5 questions. Hope you enjoyed that. If you have some more ideas in the future, put them in our comments or send an email bluegbbanner@gmail.com. We'd love to talk them. And also, if you are interested in participating in our random J of the week, send us an email or put it in your comments. We will certainly look you up and get you on the show. All right, that's it for today. As we said, tomorrow, head coach Steve Lutz of Oklahoma State. So thanks so much for listening and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Tim. Have a good day.
You too.